My name is Stuart Dunn, and my presentation is on the book The Great Chicago Fire and the Myth of Miss O'Leary's Cow by Richard F. Bales. Bales' ultimate goal was to debunk various theories and ultimately rid Miss O'Leary of her reputation of fire starter. He does so by extensively analyzing details from reports, property records, and newspaper articles, noting the inconsistencies and lack of careful questioning as a big problem. Some of these theories mentioned include combustible hay, chimney sparks, an act of terrorism, and a nighttime smoker. Before the fire, Chicago's location was key. It was located near two major bodies of water. An inland water port through a canal and an extensive railroad system made Chicago an economic and thriving city. A majority of the buildings and homes were constructed with wood, and prior to the fire, there was extremely dry conditions since July that made the fire more extensive. And the fire department was fighting a great fire the day before, on October 7th. A large fire broke out at Lowell Homes Planing Mill, and the firemen fought all night and into Sunday. Had the Great Chicago Fire not occurred on that Sunday, October 7th would have been considered the Great Chicago Fire. The fire begins in or around the O'Leary barn on Sunday, October 8, 1871, and the watchman reports the wrong location, which delays the firemen. The fire quickly grows out of control and it leaps the Chicago River. Gaswork explodes, leaving the city without power, and the courthouse is ablaze and prisoners are let loose to escape. The State Street Bridge, which connects to the north side where the wealthier people live, catches fire. People continue to flee. The waterworks catches fire, which contaminates the city drinking water and severely hinders the water hoses at the fire department. So residents either seek refuge in Lake Michigan or they are pushed north to the prairie. The Illinois Central Railroad Complex and the McCormick Reapers Works are destroyed. General Sheridan orders buildings to be blown up in order to stop the fire in the north side. This does delay the fire but does not halt it completely. And rain on Monday evening finally helps in the path of destruction. This map outlines the path of fire expansion. If you look at in the southwest corner, you can see where the fire began, and ironically, the O'Leary household was spared during the fire, all in part because of the way the winds were blowing. And you can see where it jumps the river, the Chicago River, in the two different locations and moves northward, pushing people east into Lake Michigan or further north into the prairie. The fire finally died out on Tuesday, October 10th in part of the rain. And about 1/3 of the population was left homeless, and almost 300 people were dead. And it incurred approximately $200 million worth in damage. Before the fire even ended, Miss O'Leary was accused, and she died. And she denied this until the day she died. And the author put little emphasis on the rebuilding of Chicago. The author details 7 reasons why the fire was so devastating. 1. Fireman exhaustion. All of the firemen had been previously fighting a fire not 24 hours before the Great Chicago Fire. Equipment disrepair and hose shortage. Again, this was in relation to the fire that occurred before. An error in judgment. When the watchman spotted the fire, his initial post of the location was off by about a mile or so, which delayed the firemen. Brown's delay. An uncooperative druggist. And when neighbors went to go report this fire, they reported that the owner, who has the key to the firebox, did not allow them to make the report, which delayed the reports and the firemen. Inattentive neighbors and lack of engine support. Relevancy today. In April of 1872, the Burnt Records Act, also called the Destroyed Public Records Act, was enacted in Illinois. And this focuses on the legality of resubmitting documents related to properties if the originals are destroyed in a fire. Also in 1872, they changed the one platoon system. The one platoon system meant all firemen were on duty all the time, as there was only one working shift. And this has since changed to alleviate worker exhaustion and better equip departments with more training and bodies. And also now nationwide, there is a more strict fire code on building materials. There's many variations in views and different writings related to this event, one being the guilt of Miss O'Leary and her cow. Author Bales describes each possible theory related to Miss O'Leary and uses evidence from police reports, interviews, and property layouts to reduce the plausibility of each. He ultimately offers his conclusion of the cause, pointing his finger to Daniel Pegleg Sullivan and Dennis Reagan, 2 neighbors who Robert Bales says are the ultimate cause. Others state Miss O'Leary being a plausible cause, and others outright blame her for the fire. Also, there's differences in the physical depiction of Miss O'Leary. Some say she was 70, some say she was 40, some say she was hardworking, a drunkard, and all agree on the conditions and numbers of fires leading up to the disaster and the weather conditions. There's a few differences in minute details, such as the number of firefighters and the amount of people left homeless, and there were varying focuses of the fire. One author focuses not on uncovering the real reason it started, but rather why the story of Miss O'Leary and her cow was so powerful even to this day. He stated that this one person was to blame because it shifted responsibility and attention from a myriad of people who most likely played a role in the extinction or the devastation of this fire. Others focus on the rebuilding of Chicago after the fire. And to answer your biggest question, the cow was never charged, and unfortunately he most likely perished in the fire. And these are a list of my references. Thank you.